I can confirm that we are looking at projects outside of the kingdom. Red Sea Global, the clue is in the name. When we changed our name to that, it was to signal that our ambitions were beyond just purely developing in Saudi Arabia.
Tourism has come a long way since the depth of the COVID-19 pandemic. But while passengers, traffic and spending have bounced back, the investment cycle in the tourism industry has been slower to recover. But not in Saudi Arabia. The country wants to make tourism one of the pillars of its future diversified economy. A handful of giga projects have been tasked with turning vision into reality. One of them is Red Sea Global, and its CEO, John Pagano, is with us today. John, giga projects, they often start amid very high expectations that not always are realized. And in the same Saudi Arabia, PIF is now launching a review of the spending on these giga projects. How might this affect Red Sea Global?
Well, look, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's always great expectations and not always realized. But in the case of Red Sea Global, I'm very proud to say that we have delivered and are delivering on the original vision. Our funding has been secured by the Public Investment Fund, so we're fully funded through completion of our current work. So nothing really changes in that regard. But as I said, we're one of the few that is actually delivering on the vision, on the promise that we made as many years ago as I can remember.
Red Sea Global is developing tourism resorts on the Saudi Red Sea coast. It's a pure greenfield investment in terms that these were pristine lands and islands up until a few years ago. Tell us what is there today, what is Red Sea Global today, and what should we expect in the next couple of years?
You're absolutely right. We started with this pristine environment, which was a blessing and a burden at the same time. The blessing is we had something truly remarkable. The burden was how to develop without affecting that, and that was a very careful balancing act. What we're actually doing today, we have 27 hotels and resorts that are under development, 10 of which are now open. We've opened a brand new international airport, the Red Sea International Airport, which is currently achieving 16 flights a week with 2 international destinations. We've got Qatar and we have Dubai, and that will be joined by more as we continue to open the resorts as I've just outlined.
How much have you invested so far, and what is the overall budget?
So we've invested around 90 billion to date, and we have another 30 billion to complete.
30 billion
Saudi riyals.
Saudi riyals. Mm-hmm. Your overall objective, as far as I understand, is to achieve 300,000 visitors per year. What is the latest update on 2025, and what is yet to happen to fulfill that vision?
I think through September we had about 30,000 visitors, and by the end of the year we expect to hit 50,000. But bearing in mind that we've only opened, those stats relate to the first 5 hotels that have opened. We've just opened, as I mentioned, additional hotels in the recent month. We would expect to hit 300,000+ next year at Red Sea, and probably another further 100,000 up at Amala. So actually it'll be 400,000 when the entire destinations too are fully opened.
Sometimes there is a perception that some of these giga projects in Saudi Arabia as anywhere else, they are somewhat vanity projects. Are you running Red Sea Global as a profitable enterprise?
Well, we will be profitable. We're not profitable today, but you wouldn't expect us to be because we're just opening. They're not vanity projects. Vision 2030, and I think you said so in your introduction, Saudi Arabia is fundamentally transforming. That's been led by His Royal Highness, and it's being transformed in so many different ways. One of those ways is to diversify the economy. And as we've discussed, tourism is a very important economic sector, which was largely underrepresented back at the beginning of the vision, back in 2016, 2017, where it only represented 3% of the economy. So when you look at the global average of 10%, we had a long way to go in order to be able to, add more into the economy. Tourism creates, some people say 1 in 10, some people say 2 in 10 jobs. That's a lot of employment opportunities, and they're good jobs. And so it's serving that particular purpose. So what we're developing on the Red Sea is ultimately to be profitable hospitality assets. Is there investment in infrastructure that's required? Absolutely, but it's no different than London. You know my background. I worked here in Canary Wharf for many decades. Canary Wharf would not have happened but for government support in building the Jubilee line and building the Limehouse link. There are opportunity areas within and around London where the private sector wouldn't otherwise develop. So if you ignore the infrastructure spend, which any government would do, it's a fiscal multiplier discussion, then absolutely, all of our hospitality assets will be profitable and would deliver the types of returns that you would expect on a risk-adjusted basis.
You have a big ambitions also in terms of making a blueprint for regenerative tourism developments. My question is, what are the takeaways for any other location that might not have that ultra-luxury profile, but might still be interested in sustainability and regeneration?
Sure. Look, I need to dispel a myth. It's not, Red Sea is not about pure ultra luxury. I mean, yes, we have ultra luxury offerings, but it represents 10% of what we're building. It doesn't follow that ultra luxury and sustainability only go together. Today, more and more travelers want to travel sustainably. What I've been able to do is showcase to the world that you can develop in harmony with nature. In fact, you can go beyond just pure sustainability. Our goal was not maintaining the status quo, sustainability, but actually regenerate. And what does that actually mean? It actually tries to make the place better. We started with 100% renewable energy, 24 hours a day, which has never been attempted on this scale anywhere in the world. Beyond the renewable energy piece, we're planting mangroves at a phenomenal rate. We've committed to plant 50 million mangrove trees. Why are we planting mangroves? They are great at protecting our islands from erosion, from sea level rise, and probably not a well-known fact, they sequester carbon at multiples of the equivalent area of rainforest on land. Corals. Red Sea, in our location, is blessed with thriving coral reefs. It's very rare today because, as you may know, the corals around the world are under severe threat, whether they're in the Caribbean, in the Indian Ocean, in the Great Barrier Reef. Ours are thriving, so we're clearly keen to know why, and so we're spending a lot of effort in studying that. But more than that, we're not complacent, so we're growing coral using innovative techniques to enhance our coral, build resilience against future shocks, because we're not going to be immune to it, but Mother Nature has protected us for her own reasons, and we hope to learn from that and be able to share it with other parts of the world.
And to some extent, I find fascinating this somewhat a dichotomy between what you have just outlined, such big ambitions in terms of environmental regeneration, sustainable electricity supply, etc., and the economic paradigm of a country that has relied for decades, has made its fortune on fossil fuels and or hydrocarbons development. So what is the bigger message there in terms of the trajectory of Saudi Arabia?
Well, look, the world is changing, right? I mean, our understanding of the effects of fossil fuels is different today than it was decades ago. Let me remind you, the UK made its fortune from oil out of the North Sea. Norway has done the same. We didn't know what we didn't know. Now we know. So it bothers me a little bit when Saudi Arabia is only singled out as being reliant on fossil fuels. They're taking steps towards diversifying away from that. They're moving away from the normal commodity of selling it for it to be ultimately burned in some fashion, to going into higher value products, for example. They've committed to go 50%, to convert their entire electrical network to be 50% renewable energy by 2030. This is a huge commitment. So yes, they benefited from oil in the past, but they're taking steps to move away from oil in the future. And I think that should be commended and not highlighted as being a dichotomy. It is, but they're now moving forward to try to do better and to lead the way in that regard. I think that's right.
Sure. And as far as I understand, you're also willing to take these steps outside the country. You recently mentioned that you are looking at Italy for your first international a property outside Saudi Arabia. Can you confirm that, and can you provide more details about that?
Well, I can confirm that we are looking at projects outside of the kingdom. Red Sea Global, the clue is in the name. When we changed our name to that, it was to signal that our ambitions were beyond just purely developing in Saudi Arabia. We've built a great enterprise. We're a vertically integrated real estate company, which there aren't many in the world today. We're now amongst one of the biggest real estate developers in the world, so it makes sense for us to look outside. Yes, we're targeting Italy because we found a potential property that we want to develop, but I can't give you any more details than that at this stage. We'll be making announcements, in the not too distant future. But just for me to go and build hotels anywhere is not what it's about. It's about projects that meet our values and our ambitions with regards to regenerative development, responsible development. That's the key.
Can you give us more details on the profile of the properties?
Well, again, it'll be similar. It'll be a resort type destination that we're going to be developing. So again, we're not going into a city center. It's in line with what we're currently developing in the Red Sea.
John Pagano, CEO of Red Sea Global. Thank you very much for being with us.
My pleasure, always. Thank you. See you again.
Thank you everyone for watching. If you are following this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, or else follow us on fdiintelligence.com.